Chicago Cubs. News today.
Hey, Cubs fans, look, I need to talk to you about something. There is a right-handed pitcher on the market right now, a veteran, experienced, who had a solid year in 2025. An ERA of 3.41, 26 games as a starter. And guess what? The Cubs have their EYs on him. But here is the problem. We are not alone in this fight. According to inside sources, this guy is asking for a TWO-year contract. And the more teams lose starting pitchers to injury, the more valuable he becomes. Toronto is interested. There are at least 2-3 more teams in line. And just look at our roster situation. Cade Horton? Out for the entire season, elbow surgery. Matthew Boyd? Biceps injury. And nobody knows when he is coming back. The rotation is bleeding, my friend. Jed Hoyer knows this, and if he wants this pitcher, he is going to have to pay. This is Jake Reynolds, and the burning question is it worth it for the Cubs to get into a bidding war for a 2-year contract? Because this story is more important than it seems. And when you understand what is happening behind the scenes, the situation changes completely. So let's understand all of this right now. Look, you who follow the Cubs know the start of this season has not been what we expected. And now, things have really started to get heavy. 2 starters on the injured list, a depleted rotation, and that feeling that something needs to be done, fast. Jed Hoyer is facing a decision that could define not only this season, but also 2026. Lucas Giolito is still available, asking for a 2-year contract, and several teams are watching him. The burning question is, are the Cubs really going to enter this fight, or are they going to let another opportunity pass them by? Because the more time passes, the more expensive this gets, and the riskier it gets to just stand still. According to Bruce Levine, of 104.3 The Score, Giolito is seeking a 2-year contract with Chicago and other interested teams. The problem is that he is not alone in this negotiation. Toronto appears as a strong candidate, and at least 2 or 3 more teams are in the conversation. What complicates everything is exactly the timing. With Cade Horton out for the entire season because of elbow surgery and Matthew Boyd being a total question mark, the Cubs' rotation is fragile. Giolito had a solid 2025, an ERA of 3.41 in 26 games as a starter. Numbers that, under normal conditions, would guarantee a lucrative 1-year contract without much discussion. But he wants 2 years, and that completely changes the conversation. I am going to be honest with you, you can understand both sides here. Giolito knows the market is short on quality pitchers. He knows teams are losing starters every week. So, why not use that to his advantage? From the Cubs' point of view, signing a guy with an injury history for 2 years is a high-stakes bet. But look at the situation. No Horton until 2026, possibly no Boyd for an undetermined amount of time, and a rotation that inspires zero confidence at this moment. The truth is that Hoyer is at a crossroads. Waiting longer could mean losing Giolito to the competition. But paying for 2 years could mean regret if the injuries come back. Levine's logic makes total sense when he says that the longer Giolito waits, the more attractive he becomes. Every injury that happens to other teams increases his value. Every team that loses a starter automatically becomes a potential buyer. And the worst part, there is nobody in the minor leagues ready to replace these guys right away. This puts real pressure on the teams that are trying to compete right now. The Cubs fit into that category, but they need to decide if they are willing to pay the price, because it is not just about money. It is about a long-term commitment to someone who, when healthy, is truly viable. But who carries that constant medical question mark? The 2-year proposal is not absurd considering the scenario, but it is also not a guarantee of anything. Giolito could perform really well and justify every penny. Or he could spend half the time on the injured list and become just another frustrating what if in the franchise's recent history. You who are watching know how this works. Cubs fans have seen this movie before. We wait. We wait. We wait. And before we know it, the player has signed with another team. Then you are left with that feeling of a missed opportunity. But we have also seen the front office act too fast and regret it later. So, what is the right play here? Hard to say. What we can say for sure is that this decision will say a lot about how Hoyer views this season. If he really believes we can compete now, or if he is already thinking about 2026. To me, the big point here is not just whether Giolito is worth 2 years. It is whether the Cubs are willing to act like a team that wants to win right now. Because standing still while Toronto, and possibly other teams, make aggressive moves is sending a clear message to the fans. We are backing down. And look, I understand that nobody wants to get stuck with a bad contract. But there is also a time when you have to take a risk. Giolito is not perfect, far from it, but he is better than anything we have available internally at this moment. And if the idea is to really compete in the division, having him in the rotation for the next 2 years does not seem crazy. It seems necessary. Levine made it clear that there is no reason for the Cubs not to be one of the teams in the mix. The need exists. The money, probably, too. And Giolito knows Chicago. He played for years in the city, on the other side of town. But he knows the pressure. He knows what it means to wear a uniform here. That counts. It does not solve everything, but it counts. The question now is whether Hoyer is going to make a competitive enough offer to take Giolito off the market before another team closes the deal. Because if he waits too long trying to get a discount, he might end up with nothing. And then the hole gets even bigger. So here is the thought. How far are the Cubs willing to go to reinforce this rotation? Because the clock is ticking, teams are making moves, and Giolito will not be available forever. The season has already started off weird, and decisions like this will define whether we climb out of the hole or sink deeper. What do you think? Is it worth going all in on Giolito for 2 years, or is it too risky?